Saturday, the 4th of April, 2020. And in the future, they're going to look on this period as something unprecedented, which it absolutely is. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, happy Ramadan, happy Easter, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever time of day you're looking at this. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. My colleagues and I started a channel called Pubs of Prague, but it sort of morphed into living rooms of Prague, unfortunately. Something which we didn't foresee and something which we'd rather not do. But let me introduce him. And because he's got nothing better to do, Prague's favourite Belgian is here, Tiernan O'Rourke.
Hello, John.
Hello, Tiernan. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you're away from your Xbox game.
Yeah, pretty much.
The novel you're writing, I don't know.
Well, I am very bored at the moment. I can't deny it. I really hope this doesn't last too long because I'm really lacking in motivation.
Well, soon let's have an exercise session, the three of us, and see who can do the most one-handed push-ups. And fresh from his falconry course, Simon says, Simon's here as always. Hello, Simon.
Hi.
Hello, Simon.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Lovely to see you all again. It's been a whole week. Has anyone fallen down any stairs?
If I had some, I would have.
Oh,
but I live on the ground floor, so.
You
Same.
lucky bastard.
So yeah, it's quite easy for me.
I think I'm losing my motor skills because last week I fell down the stairs. This week going up the stairs, I stubbed my toe really bad, and a great chunk of large toe just sort of hung off there for a while. It's now coming good. Should have heard me cursing in the. They must know my neighbours because none of them speak any English. It's not very touristy here. They must know. Oh, there's that bloody Australian again. The swearing and the what. And then the other day I was putting something I was in the bathroom and I put something in the washing machine, and I turned around immediately and I was about 20 centimetres. And I don't know what that is in imperial, 7 or 8 inches. And I turned around and then walked straight into the wall, the door jamb, like a complete moron. And again, the cursing started. So maybe this thing is playing havoc with my motor skills and my cognitive.
You have to be careful, John. Your neighbours might call the police.
It could happen. They might think that the wife and I are having a domestic situation.
Especially in these times of heightened stress, heightened tension. You know?
Yeah, exactly. How are you handling the stress, Simon? Do you have any stress? I've actually never seen you stressed. You always seem, I'll just go with the flow.
I try to handle stress in the best way possible when it arrives, but no, I'm not so stressed at the moment.
Is that this, Simon? Is this what you do? No.
Yeah. But no, it's not. The emotion is not stress at the moment. It's just, yeah. What everything Tiernan said. Yeah, it's weird. Like I said last time, and yeah,
it's like what we were talking about earlier. We have many things we could be doing, but it's just the lack of social interaction. Like it makes us have little motivation to do these things.
I feel a bit
because.
On a thing like
Well, you don't want to do it alone. You want to do it in company with people.
Well, I'm not saying it's that so much. I think it's just more the fact that when you get to see people, whether it be like even for an hour or something during the day, or we go out in the evening, just gives you that extra motivation. You're like refreshed. It's all like a refueling process, I think. And then you have the motivation. But now every day is like turning into one. I don't want to sound too depressed about it because there are people in much worse situations, but it's quite hard to get motivated. It's quite hard to find it within yourself and do something new. You just fall into the trap of watching Netflix, reading, I suppose.
I reckon you can see that, I don't know, when all this is over, someone's going to come out with a great play, a great piece of music.
Mm.
I don't know, someone's going to, you know what happened during this lockdown period? I wrote this fantastic music, which I wouldn't have done otherwise. I don't know, something good will come out of it all. Something good that's come out of it for us is we now have a program, a channel, YouTube channel called Living Rooms of Prague. Living Rooms of Prague. The COVID conversations.
On that note, I shall consider starting my novel tomorrow. Maybe your words will serve as inspiration for me, John.
Take it up. Do it, Tiernan. Tiernan, what's been happening on the Czech Republic side in relation to lockdowns and restrictions and anything like that? Any news?
Yeah, it's more or less the same as last week. There have been one or two developments. They are putting into place at the moment this intelligent quarantine. Perhaps you've heard of it, where afflicted people give their consent to be essentially give their data to the state, I suppose, so they can follow them around. They can say where they have been, in which places they've gone to. So yeah, it'll make
using your phone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the phone will serve as a basic kind of a virtual tracker for them. So that will mean it's sort of a little bit sinister in my opinion. It kind of takes away a lot of fundamental rights, which is, I suppose, why the person has to give consent. But on the other hand, it will provide like people with quite a handy way of seeing if there's someone infected nearby. Now, I don't know how this works. If it's a relative or a close friend of yours, I don't know what you do then.
I like everything. There's good and bad. And can you withdraw your consent when you're better? Anything else happening?
Yeah, well, that's the question. I mean, it's still not in service yet. It should be operational, I think, after Easter, so probably the end of next week, and it will be applicable here and in parts of Moravia, if I'm not mistaken. So actually, it's quite a good initiative, albeit a little bit strange. But I think if those people are happy to give consent about what's happened to them, I think it can be quite handy.
There's definite benefits as long as they can withdraw that consent and there's some sort of safeguards, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, and otherwise the number of affected here has gone. We are over 4,000 now. We have, like, I think 4,100, 4,200, which has more than doubled since last week, which again is slightly worrying. I think it could be to do with the tests, as we were also discussing earlier, that there are more tests being carried out now, which means that obviously some people have the symptoms and it will be more apparent and there will be more cases when there are more tests, which is, I suppose, logical.
It's all about the testing.
And then I suppose in the final part of news, there's some controversy broken out over China, which again
controversy in China?
Yeah, well, you know how it is.
They're like the Norwegians.
Yeah, I mean, everyone loves the Chinese at the end of the day.
I like Chinese.
But anyway, there has an argument has broken out over whether materials that the Chinese provided to the Czech Republic were donated or were sold. And one side is claiming they were donated, which is obviously Chinese side. The other side is claiming that they had to purchase them.
Well, so, I have another story on that. There was apparently a Chinese load of personal protection equipment bound for France. The Americans got wind of it and then offered a huge chunk of money more than whether France paid or not, I don't know. But they offered a lot of money and the Chinese said, yeah, okay, off to America with you. So the French never got it. So not everything.
It's actually a like basic way to make a lot of money then. Huh? Taking advantage of the times of crisis to make a lot of money, which is a little bit, that's not the most principled thing you could ever think of. But people will do this in times of stress.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, from the American side, offering money, which is very American, but the Chinese taking advantage of other people's misfortune. Well, let's face it.
They'll come on top of this, China. If they're producing now again all this PPE equipment, while the West is still hasn't even reached the peak, then they're going to profit out of it, right? Because they're at a more advanced stage of the virus handling now. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you try to get a mask here in the Czech Republic, at least for me, it still seems quite hard.
No, it's quite easy because there's a lot of people that were making them themselves, like sewing them and donating them. So there are like pickup points where you can get them. But obviously,
my wife's doing it now, Tin, and I'll get you one. There's one with nice little foxes on them, or little French bulldogs, or I'll get you one with a tartan look, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, just so people stay away from me, you know.
Or misschien Belgische patat.
Ja, misschien wel.
Anything else?
No, I think that's about it for now. From the Czech point of view, like a lot of people are still outside. In theory, we should not be more than 2 at one time, but you do see bigger groups. The police are going around checking people, but not. I wouldn't say around here at least. It's so frequent. Obviously,
I haven't heard any stories. I mean, I believe. I mean, I'm not really on Facebook, so I don't know. But I believe people are very vigilant, though, aren't they? If they see a group of young people or any people congregating, because you're not allowed to be with more than 2 people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do hear that people are ringing up the police if they do see 3, 4, 5 people standing around together and move along. You've got to say that about the Czechs. They're very compliant and they're taking it very seriously. And I think in this situation, it's a good thing.
Yesterday,
you can see the statistics for the countries. We mentioned it last week, but many countries that are in a worse situation than us. So it does give some optimism that maybe, hopefully, I won't say an exact time period, but hopefully soon that some of the restrictions can be softened a bit or can be lessened.
Let's hope. I heard that for sole traders, for self-employed people, the Czech government is giving a one-off payment. Those with živnos or živnotenskis, which is a license to trade, self-employed, your own business. They're giving them a one-off payment of 25,000 crowns, which is what? Is that about $1,000 American or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Not a lot of money, but this one-off payment. So they are doing something.
Yeah, about $1,000.
How far is that going to go?
Yeah, well, if it's longer than a month, not very, is the quick and simple answer that I have for you. You know?
I mean, they might revisit that and think maybe we'll have to do monthly payments or something. Because even if, let's say, in a couple of weeks or the 1st of May, these restrictions stop, you've got to get your business up and running again. There's a lot of people that won't request the services of these sole traders because they haven't got money to pay them. So I can't see that being. I mean, it's nice, it's a nice thing, but a one-off payment of 25,000 crowns, that's not enough.
Well, it's better than nothing, but of course, as you say, it will not be sustainable for longer than, let's say, a few weeks.
Yep.
I mean, to come back to what concerns us, and Simon will probably say a little bit about it shortly, but a lot of the pubs here are struggling at the moment. There's no custom coming in. They have no clients. So what are they going to do? As you say, they need time to start up the business afterwards. Like the people need to start flocking back. And can you run a pub if you still have to maintain social distance? I'm not sure it's possible.
Yeah, the pubs won't open until this whole thing is completely finished. You can't see people going in and standing at 6 feet apart. Cheers, Tatum! Cheers, Simon! Oh, cheers to you!
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Anyway, yeah. How many of them are going to be open? We may have to permanently change the name of this channel to Living Rooms of Bloody Prague instead of.
Oh no.
Oh, anything happening on the beer front, Simon, rather?
Well, following on from what Tianan just said, yeah, I mean, they can't really operate. Some of the places near my place that were selling from like a window or the front door, they've also now closed. So there isn't really any updates. A lot of the craft places, they still offer the stuff for delivery. Since there was I think like 5 million liters was mentioned.
Yep. So from what we see now on the screen, save beer.
But I was just thinking, like, once it does pass, though, there's just going to be such a boom if they do survive, because everyone have been inside for such a long time. So the question will then be, for example, the first weekend after this will then be if they'll even be able to handle like the demand, especially if the restrictions are lifted when the weather is really nice. Yeah, and they have to also plan for that. Maybe, I don't know. It's difficult for them to work out.
That's a good point. They're going to have to somehow tell business, look, this is going to stop in 3 weeks or whatever. Start ramping up beer production or hamburger production, whatever production, to get stock in. Because you're right. Let's say if they said, okay, tomorrow is the last night of lockdown, and from Monday morning you can all go back to the pubs again. Well, the pubs may not have any beer.
Yeah.
They may not have a premises to sell the beer from because they haven't paid the rent. I mean, we don't know. But, yeah, so they're going to have to give them some time and the breweries to keep the production up or something. And for the breweries to change, because we saw last week that they've been basically producing bottles and cans to go back into kegs. And I suppose pubs can almost just sell bottles. But, yeah, to ramp up production again before the lockdown ends and we can all go back to the pubs. But, yeah, there's going to be a big release, isn't there? A huge release.
Yeah.
Like watching a porno, you know.
Yeah, because everyone's just going to be out, I think, that first weekend. So,
yep.
I mean, something we have to consider about this is this is something that we have to learn from the previous mistakes. As you may know, in the Spanish flu times, which also more or less coincided with the end of the First World War, a lot of people, when it was considered safe again, or let's say less dangerous, they really went overboard. They went a bit crazy. Everyone was hugging each other because they were like celebrating the double victory, the end of the war, and the lessening of the Spanish flu. And then people got sick again because of this. So there could be a second strain, I suppose strain is the right word, of this virus, which people have been talking about already, and something people have to be aware of. That when I would love to, when I see you boys again, give you a big hug, but when exactly will that be? We're not sure.
Old softy.
I know.
Yeah, no, it's strange. Yeah, it's
when exactly will it be, and will it be like wise, or should we stick to the elbow touch, the fist bump as we were starting?
June 2023. Yeah, we've only got about 3 years to go.
Do you think we can survive until that long?
Well, we got Skype. You'll. I mean, by that time you'll have grown a beard. You'll be talking to a football or something which you've drawn a face on. Probably.
No, I'm going crazy. I'm just talking to my curtains.
Yeah. Anyway, I heard there is a brewery in Australia who are actually have stopped brewing beer and have started producing hand sanitizer. Because of anything that's very hard to get, even here, hand sanitizer.
Like,
So obviously, I suppose it wouldn't be much to make hand sanitizer. It wouldn't be much of a. I don't know anything about it, but it doesn't seem to be a difficult thing.
Yeah, but you need a certain certificate from various government agencies, I believe. I think this is the hard.
This is an Australian brewery, though, Tien, an Australian brewery. We're cowboys over there. Anyone can do whatever they like.
Well, you're the expert there, you know. I have my theories on Australians, but we won't make them public at this point.
Let's keep it to yourself. We're already bloody at each other. Now, I'm going to bring in a segment. It's purely only for this period of this lockdown period, but I want to bring in Prick of the Week. I also want to bring in the Vaclav Havel Award for the Vaclav Havel Person of the Week. That's the opposite of Prick of the Week. I think we can all say that Vaclav Havel is a hero here in this country and has a positive effect. So personally, I'd like to say that for the Prick of the Week, and there are so many to choose from, and there's actually 3 or 4 going through my head right now, and I'm going to give it to Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world, the head of Amazon. And why is he a prick? Well, he's a multi-billionaire. Why does anyone need so much money? He's obviously a very driven person. But the people working on the factory floor, on the warehouse floor, there's not really a factory, I suppose, on the warehouse floor of Amazon, and it's doing a thriving business in this lockdown period, in the COVID era, these poor people, and it's not the best employer at the best of time, Amazon, these poor people working in these warehouses have weeks ago, started getting sick. The COVID thing was coming out, coronavirus. So many of them just stayed home, and some of the employees went up to management and said, listen, can we have some personal protection equipment because there's too many people falling off sick here? And they just said, so this one particular guy, I was reading a story in The Guardian, actually, and this guy had been with them for several years. And so he was sort of middle manager, he was a supervisor or something. And he actually started going out to management and saying, listen, can you just please provide us with personal protection equipment and maybe also some health insurance because this is getting serious. This guy also started getting sick and he's got family and all that. This virus situation was getting worse. So he also stayed home, not getting a cent for it. So he went to management, just more or less said, yeah, we'll look into it. Nothing happened. He went to politicians in the US. They haven't really done much, probably because they've got a lot more on their mind at the moment. So he went out on strike and he went out and approached other Amazon employees of the warehouse people and just asked them, listen, is anyone else experiencing this issue and that management of Amazon don't care? Yes. So a lot of them went out on strike. But in the end, cut a long story short, Bezos has just given them the ass, given them the flick, sacked them. So if you can avoid buying anything from Amazon, do it because they treat their people like shit. But this guy, just at the end of this story, to finish it up, he said, Jeff Bezos, because he wrote a bit of a story in the Guardian newspaper. He said at the end, you may be a very powerful man, Jeff, but you're not as powerful as us, the workers, because without us, without people, the middle class getting a decent wage, companies like yours wouldn't bloody exist. So we have the power. So stick it up your ass. We will win in the end. I'm paraphrasing there. Sounds like Karl Marx. But it's true, isn't it? To a certain extent. Now Bezos can give 1 billion of his 60 billion fucking dollars, pay his people a decent wage, pay for medical insurance, and they'd all be happy.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm on my high horse. I'll just climb down now.
Yeah, you're right. You got quite a height there.
I did scale to a new socialist height.
Yeah, it's all this stress of being confined indoors, you know.
I've never liked Amazon. I have to admit, I have bought stuff there when you're desperate to buy something because there is nothing else, and they've got a good price, and their customer service is very good. But I do it begrudgingly, and I really they treat not the white collar, the people. It's the blue collar workers on the warehouse floor. They're treated like shit.
Yeah.
Fuck Amazon. There, I've said it.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's my prick of the week. I've got a Vaclav Havel award. There's no award. Perhaps I could give these. I don't know what I could give. We'll think of something. But my Vaclav Havel of the week, a Vaclav Havel award, because these sort of historic events always bring out the good and bad in people. Bezos was always bad. But the Vaclav Havel award goes to, for me, 3 English former high school students. One is actually a current high school student. The other one is an undergraduate who just left that particular high school. The other one was at this particular high school. I can't remember where it is anymore, but I think it might be Sheffield, north of England, somewhere in England anyway. He left. He's now an engineer. So it's an engineering school, or they're majoring in engineering studies. They all went back. The three of them got together. The guy who's actually an engineer designed a visor for medical staff, and they did it really quickly. And they've got all these 3D printing machines, so they printed out all these visor bands, I suppose, whatever you want to call it, to put around your head. And they also put perspex screens around it. They engineered it all, and they just gave it away to hospitals, to public hospitals in England. And the hospitals are going, yeah, we'll take that. Absolutely for nothing, gratis, free. And these three young guys just did it because, hey, hang on, what's the school doing now? Oh, that's closed. They've got all these 3D printing machines. Let's make this stuff. So they're making these visors and handing it out to the hospitals for absolutely nothing. Heroes. Simon, how long do you think this is going to keep going on for? What's your estimate?
I'm following what the government says, so I think it will go into...
experts. You're following experts. How strange.
Experts, yeah. I think into May it will go, at least this whole month of April.
Yeah, April's wiped out.
Yeah, I think it'll take a minor miracle for anything to get back to normal in the next 4 weeks, if we're going to be honest about it. People have been mentioning May, like Simon alluded to. I think it could be May in the best case scenario. In the worst case, maybe September. I think the borders will not be open for another few months. Again, best case scenario. So I think maybe due to the fact that the Czechs are one of the better countries, that we might see some improvements in May, as I mentioned. But in terms of travel, I think we're going to be stuck here for the summer. I don't think the borders will be open because many other countries are not doing as well as the Czech Republic, and they're just going to be too worried that, like what happened with the people from Italy at the start of this whole episode, they'll be paranoid that the people from infected countries will come in and the whole thing will start over again. So I can't see the borders being open for at least 3 or 4 months, whereas we might have some liberty a little bit more, maybe hopefully in May everything goes to plan, but not before.
You may be able to go back to the pubs of Prague.
We may well have
second waves, don't you? Second waves, third waves, as we mentioned. You might, just because it finishes this year doesn't mean it won't come back next year.
Yeah, exactly. It could be like a second strain, as we talked about earlier.
Well, if anyone has got this far into the video and they're interested in pubs of Prague or pubs in general, hit the subscribe button. One day we're going to get back to those pubs and showcase them. But if you're interested in living rooms of Prague as well and our inane banter, then hit the subscribe button as well, because we'll probably be doing this next week. Fellas, all the best. Hope you finish that novel. Tiernan, Simon, hope you finish.
Started even.
Falconry course goes well.
Yeah.
And see you next week. Totsi.
See you then.
next week.
Bye.